but share and tell me your memory. Why does it matter to you? I want to hear your story, your point of view. Tell me what happened to you.
Hi, and welcome back to Tell Me What Happened, the podcast that features folks from all walks of life telling us one true childhood story and how that event, that experience, has impacted who they are. I'm your host, Jay Rehack, and like you, I've had my share of childhood moments, experiences that have impacted who I am today. Some of them were beautiful, some of them were pleasant, and some of them were quite painful. But I'd like to think that everything that's ever happened to me has made me a better person. Now, I know in my heart that may not be true, but that's what I'd like to think. Today, I have as my guest Jill Hopkins. Jill is the director of civic events and news media for Metro Chicago and Gman Tavern in Chicago. She's served as the host of several podcasts, including Making Beyonce for WBEZ and The Opus for the Consequence Podcast Network, and was a radio personality for CHIRP and Vocalo Radio for over 10 years. And I'm going to add to that and tell you that Jill, back in the day, and I don't know how long it's been, was one of the magnificent students that I had over at Whitney Young High School. She helped me get through the day with her insights and smiles. So welcome to the show, Jill Hopkins.
Hey, it was class of 97, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Now I know. I really I couldn't remember. My wife asked me this morning, and I said, I don't know. I know she's been out of school for a while because I listened to Vocalo for a while, and that was back a few years now, I suppose. And I know you've been hosting don't you host Moth radio hours or those types of events?
Yeah, I host the Moth Live events. I'm one of a few different hosts that we have here in Chicago. I host the Moth. I occasionally host Write Club, which is a great kind of storytelling debate club kind of thing that's right up your alley, actually. I think your daughter's actually been on a couple of those, so you've got to come out and hang out. But no, yeah, just if there's a live event, I'll host it. I've got like a fundraising gala I have to host later this week. So I think the superpower that I've developed in my adult life is just lack of fear of public speaking. It doesn't exist.
That's a fabulous skill, Jill, and you had it back in the day. I wouldn't have thought it was 97, but I know you've been doing it for a long time. And I do know that my daughters have been a part of some of those programs. And I don't know if I've got anything worthy to say, but I'd love to get involved one of these days. But
I'd love to have you.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Well, Jill, I am looking forward to hearing your story. Are you ready to tell it?
I am ready to tell it.
Fantastico. Well, listen, before I mute myself, and I will mute myself in a minute, just want to mention to you that I'm going to listen without interrupting you. And then at the end, I'm going to be asking you absolutely one question. And that one question is, how do you think that the story that you're telling us has impacted who you are today? So take it away, one of my favorite students, Jill Hopkins.
Think about the cruelest thing that anyone has ever said to you. Like, don't think about the thing itself. I don't want to bring your day down, but think about who said it and how mean it was, how deeply it cut to the bone. It was a child, wasn't it? It was a mean child. I have heard stories about cruel children since I was a child. They make movies about the ones who are possessed by demons or haunted by ghosts or have red hair, which seems really cruel in and of itself. There's nothing wrong with being a redhead. Shout out to the incorrectly maligned redhead community. You didn't deserve this. Now, I don't have children myself for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is that I've heard about how children are little self-esteem killers, and I'm too fragile to be told about myself in blunt detail every day. When I was in high school, for some reason, they sent a bunch of us drama club kids to grade schools to talk to younger kids about pursuing the arts as they went on in their education. And one kid told me, a 16-year-old person at the time, that I looked haggard. I thought at the time, I am still technically a child too. I will beat you up by the flagpole right now. But I know now that it's a never-ending flood of unexplained hormonal changes and the ebb and flow of social experiences and expectations that makes the youth this way. I just don't want any part of it as an adult, if I can help it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the kids, but it is not my ministry. The band ministry is closer to my ministry than this, and it would feel weird to combine the two. For instance, let me tell you about two young girls being the absolute worst to each other. I'm using my Sophia from Golden Girls voice here when I say picture it. The South Side of Chicago, 1988. Two middle school girls having a confrontation in the girls' bathroom in a nearly 100-year-old Catholic school building. And yeah, let's picture that. The girls are wearing like those little pinafore plaid uniforms, and the shirts underneath are pink. The boys at the time had to wear like these brown trousers, like poop colored brown trousers and yellow shirts. It was just an awful sartorial decisions being made for children back then. And not only were the shirts the girls were wearing were pink, so was the bathroom, Pepto-Bismol pink. Every wall, every door. But the arguments that were had in there were red hot. Here's some things you want to know about this battle royale happening between two roughly 10-year-old girls. Both girls are ethnic, and this matters because of hand movements and intensity. And if you know, you know. One girl is black, the other is half Mexican, half Puerto Rican, and that matters because I feel like have to know which hand movements and how much intensity. It was about a 12 on a 1 to 10 scale. This argument may not have started about New Kids on the Block, but it quickly became about New Kids on the Block. And the black girl, that's me, she loved Jordan Knight the most, and the Latina was a Joey McIntyre girl. This is important when you're 10 years old. There's a hierarchy in your boy band fandoms. Friendships are created and broken because of them. I have a photo album in my house right now that has a list of all of my girlfriends written in eyeliner pencil on the back, and each one has been scratched out and rewritten and scratched out and rewritten over and over again. Now, these two warriors in this Pepto Pink bathroom had matching best friend forever necklaces, the kind with two halves of a heart, one that said be fry and the other one that said st ends. You know, the ones, you can get them all over the city. And as you know, this is the highest level of friendship one can ever hope to achieve. So as this argument goes on, there's a certain level of niceness still involved because we are small Catholic school children. There were never any swears. There was never any like insulting of family members, mothers, off limits. These were wonderful women who welcomed us into their homes. But any sort of G-rated insult was fair game to how you did your makeup that you were not supposed to be wearing, by the way, how you dressed on the weekends, because since we all had to wear the same thing every day, how you dressed on the weekends was pretty much like a social marker. The other famous boys you might have a crush on, you could insult them all day long. Now, as this escalated and escalated and escalated, I unfortunately have to say that I had to deliver the death knell to this argument. Picture it. There's a bathroom stall, and I'm standing half in and half out of this bathroom stall, and I say to the girl, as I'm ripping the best friend necklace from my neck, the clasp and all, this is what you're doing to my heart. I said this to her. I let the necklace go into the toilet and then reached up with my little foot in a burgundy penny loafer and flushed the toilet behind me as the best friend necklace swirls down into the South Side tour. Now, there was immediate regret. I loved my friend. I thought she was great. She was like one of the newer kids in our class, no pun intended, but she was like really nice. She had good taste in music. Her mom always let us hang out at her house and listen to freestyle music. But also, I came to the realization that her mom was the one that had bought New Kids on the Block tickets for us to see them the next month at the Rosemont Horizon. And this one incident started a domino effect where for the rest of the school year, we girls were so awful to each other that for the entire summer between fifth and sixth grade, every week we had to report to the school library for group therapy so we could understand how to be respectful young Catholic women. And, it worked. We had to still go to school with each other for the next 3 years. And we all decided about halfway through that summer that instead of turning on each other, what if we just hated the boys instead? And I like to think that was the best possible resolution to that sort of thing. And I did finally get to see the New Kids on the Block. About 6 years ago, I rented a limo, bought 3 cases of Zima, and piled about 12 of my best girlfriends, all of us in our 30s, late 30s, late 30s. And we went out to Rosemont, put Jolly Ranchers in those Zimas, and had one hell of a time. And I still talk to that girl I fought with in that porta potty or that Pepto Pink bathroom. We're friends on Instagram. Her children are grown for the most part. And I think there's a non-zero chance that I, and our husbands might go on a Puerto Rican vacation together. So happy endings all around. And I'm still a Jordan girl, for the record.
Oh, Mean Girls. The fifth, sixth grade, or just that time period. Sometimes I have two beautiful daughters, and one of them's in her. Well, they're both in their 30s, and they tell me horror stories afterwards. I missed it. I didn't see it at the time because I was the dad, but I didn't see it. But
Oh, yeah.
I to this day, though, painful transition period times. I'm so glad to hear that your friends, that you weren't, permanently damaged. I suppose you did miss the New Kids on the Block first concert as a consequence, as
Oh,
payment or punishment for flushing it down the toilet.
yeah. Certainly did not get to go on like cool family adventure trips for the next few. And those therapy sessions were crazy. Like now you got to show up to school every week all summer. Eventually we talked the lady into like taking us to the mall or whatever.
That's good though. I'm glad they did that because you do need that. So Jill, how do you think that event, that flushing down the best friend necklace, sort of that's really quite a dramatic, finale or whatever, or seeming finale to the relationship, like you're dead to me or whatever.
I know
You
how
can, can
like
imagine,
what?
right?
It's a
With your
dinosaur.
foot, I mean, it's hilarious in retrospect, but I guess at the time, I'm sure very painful.
Oh yeah, just big fat real tears for like, it's you don't have boyfriends, I guess. Well, I didn't. We didn't. And this is as close as you get to like a breakup. Friendship
Hmm.
breakups are really hard. And you have them as you get older. Somebody once said to me that friendships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm.
And you don't always know that as you're growing up. It kind of becomes obvious as you get older, as people come and go throughout your life. But when you're in fifth grade or something, everything seems so permanent. You've only been alive for like 10 years.
I agree, and I the author Victor Hugo said, "God save me from my friends. I know who my enemies are," and I live by that. Where the most painful exchanges I've ever had in my life were exchanges with my friends who said some really deep cutting things against me that I
Yeah.
still remember. I'm 67, so I'm over it and to the extent, but when I see some old friends, we actually apologize for the stuff we said, 50 years ago, and they're like, man, don't, and I just say, don't worry about it. But it's true that I haven't forgotten it. And these guys have not forgotten the stupid things I said too. So how do you think that fight, I know you've already told us that you're still friends with this young woman, but how do you think that experience, that singular experience of, the breakup, the fifth grade breakup with your friend, how do you think that's impacted who you are today as a person?
I mean, I think once you get into high school, once you're out of like middle school and junior high, and your brain has a little more time to cook in that easy bake oven up there, and you realize how much of an impact your words can have on somebody else, even if you don't think that highly of yourself, it doesn't mean that others don't hold your words in high regard. So I've tried to be. I haven't always succeeded, but I've definitely been very thoughtful about the words that come out of my mouth, especially as I'm as a communicator by trade, but also just as somebody who values the people that I've met. I've like curated a really important group of people to me, and I would really like to maintain this streak. So when I'm speaking to my friends, especially, I try to make sure that the experiences I have with them in the past and the things I know about them make me deal with everyone with a bit of grace and sensitivity, and to lead with kindness, I suppose. I, yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, even in like romantic relationship breakups, there's probably two men in this world who would disagree with what I'm about to say right now, but I don't think I've been needlessly cruel in breaking up with anybody, because, unless I've also never been treated poorly enough in relationships that like it would make me want to be needlessly cruel to somebody. So I guess I'm very lucky in that. But like you can have arguments with people and not be a terrible person within that time. Your feelings don't have to cause you to be cruel. And I think we should remember that, especially online when we're dealing with strangers who are maybe they're idiots or whatever, but like we don't have to be a day ruiner for somebody else, because then you're just turning into a day ruiner for yourself. And the new kids on the block tickets, those go away.
Oh God, well that's so wise. I can't tell you because, and I wish that I were better at it myself. I remember listening to the musical group Traffic, and they said, "Open your mouth, shoot someone dead" at the line, and I always thought, yeah, I do have to watch out because, unfortunately for me, when I was young, that my mouth was my weapon. I would say really mean things, and I would always say it was my justifiable rage in the sense that somebody said something to me, so then I was like, "Oh, you want to play that? I'll one up you in meanness, I guess, in verbal meanness." And
I was
then I
gonna ask,
realized
were you a scrapper back in the day?
I was, I was really, I have my own Catholic school experiences, but back in the day, I was just, I don't know, I tried to be a nice guy, but I don't know. People would aggravate me, and then we'd get into situations, and then I'd have to go, all right. And I always used to say to people, I was a jerk, but people want to fight me or something, I'd say, I know I might get hurt, but I wouldn't want to be the other guy. That was my line to everybody, and then I'd go, and then, or I would also say, I would rub my head and I'd say, please, please, I'm begging you, don't make me hurt you. I'm begging you, as a courtesy to me, please don't make me hurt you. And he's like, this guy, he's a vigilante man. Anyway, I grew out of it. I'm still I'm I'm still working on it, through the various therapies and everything else. But I'm trying to be a better man all the time. I'm trying. I'm not saying I'm there, but I'm trying. And I realized, as you've articulated and probably got the message before I did, that words count. Be careful what you say. And I mean, in your business, just to end it, but in your business, you listen to stories, you host programs. If you're not a gracious host, you could really hurt somebody's, self-esteem. Jill says I'm no good or whatever, or the host of the thing says, wasn't very good, and like devastating. You could turn an audience on somebody if you wanted to, just by making an offhanded joke that you don't, you're not trying to be hurtful, but it may come across as dismissive to the person. I tried to be a good teacher in that regard too. I try not to say something to somebody that they said, Mr. Riak said, I'm not a good writer. I never said that. I never told anybody that.
I can't even picture that coming out of your mouth, honestly.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I enjoyed your class very much. One of the only ones that I went to on a regular basis.
Well, I appreciate it very much. You've been a superstar. Subsequent, you were kind enough to interview me on Vocalo many years ago, which I really appreciated, and I have heard you, and you're gracious, and I'm kind of glad that they had that therapy session for you back in 6th grade. I don't know, I'm glad the teachers were aware of that. It's important because a lot of kids miss that, and then they wind up being mean to each other throughout their pubescence or even beyond.
I'll tell you what. So like the summer, that same summer, we got a new order of nuns in. So I always say we went from uniform to plainclothes nuns. They were all radically younger. They were all kind of radicals in and of themselves. Very, very feminist. They all played guitar.
Yeah, I know the people.
And like, I think that if we had not had that kind of changing of the guard, that we wouldn't have gotten that therapy out of it. I think they wanted to come in and like with this clean slate, but I can't imagine that those 1,000-year-old Eastern European they were hard women.
Yes. No, I had the same. It's funny. I mean, I'm significantly older than you, but we transitioned from old nuns who would literally beat the children, if they were, to young nuns who they still had habits, but we could see some of their hair, and it was like this big breakthrough for us. It was like, oh, Sister so and so has hair. That's incredible. Because they were all covered up. But yeah, I mean, and I was grateful for the younger nuns who came in and ran our, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and were gracious. And I shout out to them and shout out to your teachers as well. Well, it seems like you came out happy on the other side, so I'm happy about that. And I'm glad your friend's all right, as far as you know.
She's living her life. She and her husband are loving up on each other. Their children look happy and well-adjusted, which is all you can hope for, I guess. And like, they all go on like these family vacations. I'm like, I'm going on vacation with you guys. You look like having fun.
Well, did you invite her into the limo for the new kids?
I did.
Okay, at least
she lives on the far, far, far south side, and okay. Just it didn't work out, just schedule wise. But
sure. It
would have been a great little like loop closing there. But we had so much fun. One of our friends got like serenaded to like in the front.
Nice, well done.
I know. I've never been so jealous, but I handled it in a much better way.
You did not throw away your BF necklace that time.
I never would. So cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jill, for coming on the show. I know you're a busy woman and you got a lot going on, and I just feel kind of honored to circle back and see you and hear from you. I appreciate your time.
We're going to have to do this in real life again here soon. You got to come visit me at Gman. Are you a baseball guy? You want to go to a game?
No, you know what? I don't go to games. I get frustrated by the whole process. I wanted to be third baseman for the White Sox when I was growing up, and then I had to get a job because my folks didn't have any money or whatever. So I always blame them for me not getting the training to be what I consider would have been a good third baseman. But so anyway, baseball games frustrate me. But that said, if your story time, when do they occur?
Right Club is at Gman Tavern the third Tuesday of every month. And the Moth Radio Hour, those live events, they vary because they're at different locations
Yes.
throughout the city. But if you go to the Moth in Chicago Facebook page, there's all sorts of information for tickets and locations. And it's just a cute time over there. We have fun.
No, I've been to a couple of them. I just haven't been to one with you hosting, I don't think.
Oh, man. Well, let me I
I don't know if I'm
with my
worthy
husband.
of
In the front row, tall guys just ruining
tall
it.
guy, you're right. Blocking everyone else's view. People down in the front. And I go, no, I know her. I can stand up.
Squish down in your seat.
Yeah, squish down. No, I love to be on, I love to hear it. I'm sort of coming out of my COVID experience now in the sense that for a while, honestly, we didn't go, my wife and I, my beautiful wife's been with her for 38 years as of last Saturday. We are married for 38. We had known each other for 41. But we only are now just starting to go out literally and have dinner or something. We for years since the COVID, we order in, but we don't really live. We don't, go to a communal experience almost, like a Moth or like a G-Man thing. So we got to do that.
This organization called the Clean Air Club that gives or provides those, like, I don't know, this big, those little air purifiers.
Yeah.
Well, they're this big for our Right Club room. So we do as much as we can. We have masks there for people who maybe left theirs at home. We encourage that sort of thing. We're all just giving it the old college try.
All right, to be continued. I'm in, though. I definitely want to come and hear you, and I'm happy to tell the story or whatever, but even if, just participate any way I can.
Right.
But I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. And I'm trying to get my mouth to say Jay, and it just wants to say Mr.
Well, that's all right. I'm thrilled that, like I said, we reconnected. I'd like to thank our listeners for listening in. And so until next time, this is Jay Riak asking you all to please stay safe out there and try not to hurt anybody.